Hey everybody, it's the Jake of all trades, and today we are going to be spending some more time playing in the kitchen. That is to say, we are going to be butchering a whole chicken. Why would we do this? Because it saves you a bunch of money on groceries. If you are buying chicken, if you're using chicken thighs, chicken legs, chicken wings, chicken breasts, the real money maker of the whole bird, you are spending a bunch of money buying these processed pieces of meat that you could be processing yourself at home, and you could be saving a whole lot of money in the meantime. So let's get to it. So what will you need? First off, you're going to need at least a couple cutting boards, as we can see here. One is for the chicken itself, and then the other one is going to be to sort your cuts of meat once you get those harvested off the carcass. You also need a really nice sharp knife. I would recommend a blade like this, a nice chef's knife, and I would also recommend making sure it is nice and sharp, and if it is not, then use a honing rod or something like that. We'll try to show a picture of one of those over there, and using that to kind of re-straighten that edge a little bit to get it really nice and sharp. That'll just really make your job so much easier. They say that a sharp knife is much less dangerous in a kitchen than a dull knife, and I think there's a lot of truth to that. So after that, what else are we going to need? We're going to need our chicken, obviously. Ignore the smaller knife there. That was used to cut the chicken out of the plastic wrap. So we have our knife and our chicken, and our first move here is we're going to go for that little bit of skin right between the leg and the thigh, and then like sort of the breast of the chicken. And you're just cutting the skin right here. It should be noted. At that point, you're just cutting the skin really to expose this section of meat. The rest kind of opens up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to grip it in both hands, and we're going to pop that thigh bone out right there. You see how it just kind of pops out there? Now that's going to be where our sort of line is. We're going to follow the thigh line along the side of the carcass to cut it off. And we're going to do it again right here. So if you missed it the first time, that's okay. We got a second opportunity right here facing the camera. So again, we're just cutting the skin. You can kind of see that there. It just opens up, and then we're really able to just sort of pry that hind quarter away from the rest of the carcass. And you see the bone pop out there, right? And it wink, wink, wink. So yeah, the bone is where we're following here. Yeah, you just want to stay as close as you can to the carcass because you're trying to save as much meat as you can. You want there to be as little waste as possible. There will be a use for this carcass after the fact, but we'll get to that later. Right now we're going into the wing now. So I'm approaching from the back here, and you can kind of see when you cut in deep enough, you see where that bone pops out. So then it becomes just a matter of sort of carving around that bone. That bone right there turns into the head of your drumette wing style. And we'll get to that at the end of the video as well. But first, we're going to harvest the second wing. And I struggled a little bit on these. Normally it's not so difficult. I didn't do a great job on this video, but rest assured, with a lot of practice, it will get much easier, and you will get much better about getting a nice clean wing section with while maintaining the integrity of your whole breast of the chicken still, which we'll get to here in just a moment once I finish literally butchering this. Wow. All right. Now we're going to the breasts. All right. Excellent. So this is the real money maker. First, we're following the chest bone right there is what I'm sort of feeling out there in the beginning, and now we're using the knife to sort of follow down and cut out around the whole breast. And again, we're staying as close as we can to the whole carcass so that we can salvage as much meat as we possibly can. Now, some of this meat might be kind of chewy, it might be kind of weird or fibrous. You can kind of trim those bits off as necessary, but you really want to get as much as you can initially, and then you can trim anything that you don't like later. So again, we're following the breastbone. A lot of people will tell you to cut through, this is the wishbone right here at the sort of right here, the clavicle area. A lot of people, a lot of chefs will tell you to just punch right through that. I don't really think it's an issue. I don't really think you get that much more meat if you do that, and I think it's perfectly fine to just cut around it. That said, if you want to, I would watch a Gordon Ramsay video or something like that on how he dissects the chicken, and he will show you how to properly punch your knife down to keep the bone in. Now we have the carcass there I just showed. We're gonna save that for chicken stock later. Maybe that's another episode. Right now we're going for the tender. Now this is the chicken tender inside of the chicken breast, right? So if you did a good job harvesting your chicken breasts, the tenders should come out really clean. Like they almost want to escape, right? They just really peel out really nicely. And so they just normally only have a little bit of connective meat there that you just kind of have to slide through, and then you get these beautiful little chicken tenders. And I don't know about you, but those used to be one of my favorite things to buy in the store if I was buying prepackaged chicken. And you can cut the tendons off. A lot of times they don't do that in the store. So now we're gonna do the wings. So we have the two wings here, and if you cut in between that sort of webbing, in between this section here, right, you can cut in between here, and that is how you separate the flat from the drumette, right? So, and normally a chicken might have the wing tips on as well, though the very tips of the wings, which would essentially be our fingers, those get just like chopped off, right? But for these ones, you're going just sort of right towards this elbow sort of joint, and then you get these beautiful little flats and drums. I like to save those up myself in the freezer, and I just stock them up. We did it just last weekend. I had a wing party. But anyway, now we're going to talk about the thighs and the quarters. Now, these ones I keep together because I had a dish planned, but basically you can feel the joint in the knee where the thigh would sort of flex, right? And that's where you're aiming for. And if it's actually pretty easy. You're cutting through some cartilage, but the cartilage you're cutting through is very clean and very easy. It's your choice what you want to do with the rest of the chicken. Do you want to strip all of the skin off? It depends on the recipe. You know, a lot of times I'll leave the skin on, the breasts and everything like that, and because sometimes the recipe calls for having the skin on the chicken versus having it fully removed. So that's another option that you get that you wouldn't normally get if you were just buying the prepackaged stuff from the grocery store. I also mentioned this saves a bunch of money because it does. That was like $10 worth of chicken, right? A $10 chicken that I bought, just a whole fryer chicken in the grocery store. And this is in the meat section, in the meat cooler, with all of the prepackaged stuff. They also have these whole chickens. And it was like $10 of chicken, but it was like 6 pounds, all right? And all of that is meat except for a little bit of the carcass left over. And as we all know, chickens are birds, and as I'm sure most of us know, birds have hollow bones. I mean, chickens aren't very well known for flight, but that's because we sort of domesticated it out of them, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, point is, I mean, the carcass is pretty light, and the carcass that's left over, plus any skin that you don't want to use, you can throw that with the carcass. A lot of times the carcass will also come with giblets, the heart, the kidneys, a bit of like the neck section or something like that. There's a lot of little giblets they toss inside of the carcass as well that you'll have to rinse those out before you carve up your chicken. But you save those bits and you save them with the carcass when you're finished carving it up, and you can use that to make chicken stock, your own homemade chicken stock. And one carcass, about 6 pounds, 6-pound bird, after with just the carcass and the giblets and loose bits of skin and fat, your wing tips, anything that you trim off that you want to throw away, don't throw it away. Throw it in with your chicken stock bag, right? One chicken makes like 6 or 8 cups of chicken stock. So like 4 pints of chicken stock you could be getting. And that's in addition to saving all this money. This is $10, and you get 2 chicken tenders, 2 chicken breasts, 4 chicken wings, 2 thighs, 2 legs, and it's your choice if you want to keep them all together, roast a whole chicken, maybe throw some vegetables in there, roast it in the oven, or if you want to carve it up like I do pretty much every week. This has been a huge game changer. It's really saved me a lot of money in my budget. I cannot even fathom how much money I've saved by buying a chicken once a week and eating chicken as my primary protein. So that's the downside, is that you eat a lot of chicken. But if your budget's hurting, it's a great way to get a lot of good protein. You're reducing packaging, right? And that not only reduces the cost to you as the consumer, but it also reduces the environmental footprint. You know, this chicken came wrapped in like a bit of plastic, right? They have to carve that up, and then they repurpose it and they repackage it separately in all these other things, these styrofoam things with those little like meat juice napkins in the bottom, and then they're all cellophane wrapped, and then all the stickers and stuff on them, the price tags. Think about all that waste that you're avoiding by just processing your own meat. So if you're not fiscally motivated, maybe you're environmentally motivated. Regardless of why you may want to do it, it's a great idea, and I would encourage you to start. Please like and subscribe, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Jacob Trades Plays. We'll see you again real soon.